Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of From BA to Broadway. I am indeed your host, Mr. Brennan Stefanik. Your general programming reminders. Every Monday we are here with the main episode, and every Wednesday Danny and I are bringing you in the spotlight. But enough of that. You don't want to hear about me. Today, I am here with the one and only Hawley Gould.
Hey.
Hawley, what's going on?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing so good.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. I was just saying when we did this last recording that I spent the day tired sitting in the non-union holding room at the Actors Equity Building and did not get seen.
Bravo to you. You showed up though.
I did. That's
Step
part of the
number one.
job.
Well,
that is a working actor.
many
It's
steps.
showing up.
Amen.
So yeah, here for the transparency of all of that, you know? Love it.
Absolutely.
We love to see it.
100%.
Holly, who the heck are you and what do you do?
Okay. I am an actor and also a writer. And I'm working on Stuffs right now
Hell
as
yeah.
the dance captain and the alternate for Alice Paul. So come check me out on Wednesday matinees over at the Music Box. I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns for those at home who understand. Woo, woo! For those
Heck
who
yeah.
don't, get a Google search going, baby.
Literally. Talk to a young person.
Yeah, talk to a young person. Give it a go. Give it a go. They might surprise you. What else? No, that's kind of it.
Amazing.
That's what I'm up to right now.
Holly, how do we know each other?
We know each other through my bestie Danny, who you run a lovely little segment on your podcast with.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love.
Danny.
Danny is roommates with Brennan.
And they were roommates.
I knew you were going to do
Always.
it.
It's
Always.
obligatory.
It practically is legally binding now.
As a zillennial,
Yes.
it is my duty to bring this to the people. And then, of course, Holly, did you go to school for theater?
I did. Say more.
Yes, you want to speak on that?
Yes, sure, I will. I went to NYU Tisch School of the Arts, which is where I know Danny from. I have my BFA in theater from the new studio on Broadway, which is the musical theater wing of Tisch.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Folks, today we're coming at you for all that stuff that we've been through, all the stuff that everyone else is going through. Where the heck do you start? You know?
Yeah, totally.
You're either fresh out of college,
Yeah.
you're fresh out of high school,
Yeah.
coming to the city, making the jump.
Early career.
Yeah, early career. I've given you the foundations of how to find things and what to do. However, what's the reality of the situation?
Totally.
What are you doing?
Totally. The reality is crazy.
It
the
is.
reality is also like multi-pathed.
Of course.
You can take so many routes to get there, so just keep in mind this is
Of course.
grains of salt, many grains of salt.
Yeah,
Season your
yeah.
food.
Exactly.
Season your advice. I think like the thing that really, I'm going to start from my like collegiate experience,
Pop off.
which is in junior year, I signed with my agents
Nice.
because they had come to see a show that I was in. So that in and of itself is like irregular,
Yeah.
I would say, for the like standard early career post-grad experience.
For
and
sure.
I felt super fortunate to have that opportunity. And that being said, like it completely changed my relationship to agents and the relationships that I saw with all of my friends who were not signed when we walked out of school.
Yeah.
To agents in particular, which is not to say you need an agent. It is just to say, like, let me lead with transparency on that.
For sure,
Like,
for sure.
You know, I wasn't in that grind. But a thing that really changed my early career mindset was the idea of a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. And that is something that I'm actually like coming back to as I hit my first decade in New York this fall.
Whoa.
I know, 2024.
You old bag.
I know, my God. And it's like a full decade of studying here and working here. And so I'm actually kind of like revisiting that OG 10-year plan.
Wow.
And formulating a new one for the
Nice.
next decade.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Of work in New York. So that's like my first like piece of advice is like
Yeah.
get clear about what you want. Like
Yeah.
and goal set for yourself, you know, if that is like I want to be in a Broadway show. That's a part of my 5-year plan. Okay, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Name it, first of all, manifest that. And then also I think what's really important is breaking down the action steps
Of course.
to how you get there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like who do you know that can help you get there? Is there a skill that you have that makes you incredibly valuable, that would be an asset on a Broadway show? Great, list it and continue honing it. Is there a skill that you're missing that you think might help you get where you're trying to go? Great, get into a class, right? Like find a mentor, get a teacher, you know, get with your friends, practice your scenic material, practice your book, etc. And make those like actionable steps. If it is like, I want an agent, how do we go about getting that agent?
Exactly.
You know, how do we find ourselves further along the path that we're setting? By like naming like the castle way off in the distance, by naming the dream.
Totally.
How do we get there?
Exactly.
That's like my first sort of like big piece of advice for early career people, because you have agency. And I think as young actors, as young creators, we really forget this. We really forget that we have more power than we think we do.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
It's tough to lose sight of that too, because you're like, I got to go to everything. I got to be seen at everything. And but also, we
got to talk about that too.
When is that not being fruitful? When is that you burning yourself out, etc.? You know?
Yeah. It's a really complex journey. And then I think that ties into the agent conversation really well, which is to say, like, your agents are plan A, but they are not the only people who are responsible for getting you seen for the project you want to get seen for.
Totally.
You know, and they can only do so much with what they know about you. They might not know the full range of what you're interested in. They might not know the full range of your skills. There we go. Let's get there.
Also, like, your first agent, like, that's going to be
that's something
the
really
biggest
tricky.
Example of that.
It's really tricky.
Also, you probably don't know yourself.
That's right.
At that point, you don't know yourself. You don't know your full range and what's gonna be your quote unquote lightning in a bottle.
Completely.
You know, the thing that's gonna get you booked, because oftentimes it's not gonna be what you expected.
Yeah, and we tend to think of our agents as like a panacea for our woes in terms of auditioning, callbacks, booking the job. They're not. They are a communicatory step.
Yes.
They have a relationship with casting. They have a relationship with, different production teams, different general management offices. But they can't take the place of you.
Yeah, they're not going to solve all your problems. They're not going to
solve your problems. They're not going to tell you how to show up in a room. And I think also we tend to forget that they're people too.
Oh, for sure.
And they have a million clients or however many clients they have, and like you fit into their roster just as much as they fit into your plan of attack for like how you want to build your career right out the gate. And I think so that's sort of like that sort of step, which is like, if you want to get an agent, like, putting that on your to-do list, on your 5-year plan, on your 10-year plan, and knowing that in and of itself doesn't get you where you want to go.
For sure.
It's very important, I think, to remember. And on the agent conversation, that your relationship to your agent is still a team-based activity. 100%. It's a collaboration. So they can only do for you what you can do for them, and they can only do the best with what they've been given.
Yeah, vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like kind of where I'm at.
For sure. So what exactly did we'll start with your 3-year. What did your 3-year plan look like?
So we had to build 3-year plans in a class senior year.
Oh, you were taught this?
Yes, we were, this was given to us by Heather Sims, who is an amazing actress. You may or may not have seen her at Shakespeare in the Park. She has been on Broadway. She's incredible. And she taught a class whose name escapes me. And it was about preparing for the world.
For sure.
Outside of the classroom. And we only built 3-year plans, and my 10-year plan is has been a long studied project for me. But my 3-year plan was, I want to work on Broadway.
Yeah.
I want to join my union.
Yes.
Huge on my 3-year plan for me was I want to join the union. And I think I listed I want to work with these people, which I also think is really cool. I was really interested in being okay, these are the directors, these are the playwrights, these are the composers that I want to work with.
Yeah.
And how do I get there?
Rock and roll.
Yeah, that was my 3-year plan. And I gotta say, many of those things, very fortunately, got checked off the box right away, including working with people in the audition room itself.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
beyond just getting booked and blessed, is where are you experiencing your relationship with these people? How are you growing that relationship?
Yeah.
What's your connection to them?
For sure. How did you navigate that? What sequence of events did that follow? And
Okay, so
what were your
this
your
is like what I
methods?
mean by actionable steps too. Is like, okay, if you list that you want to work with Janine Tesori, okay, big item on the list
For sure.
right? So it's not just about emailing Janine Tesori.
Yeah, Janine Tesori
Janine
at
Tesori
gmail.com, right? Probably.
Obviously, we all have that in our
Maybe Yahoo, maybe AOL.
It could be.
It's got to be one of those.
Earthlink.net, baby.
Hotmail. All the way.
Janine Tesori's like, please stop putting my information on the internet.
Girl, we're guessing.
Come on.
Make it harder to guess.
Comment, find us and actually like correct us, issue a correction.
Yeah, you can actually, you know what, email me.
Yeah, personally.
No, I'm not actually going to say that on the pod. I'll bleep that out. Nice.
So this is just an example. Although Janine Tesori is kind of amazing and I would really love to work with her. But finding the projects she's working on.
Yeah.
I mean, getting really sleuthy with it. I'm a big fan of data acquisition. I think data, figuring out all the information you can with what's publicly out there. And then also, like, talking to your friends who have worked with her, talking to your friends who, you know what I mean, who might have a connection. And then finding your way into the room, right? Which is like, do you email, when you see a project comes up with Janine, do you email casting? Do you email her music assistant? Do you email her? Can you get her email? Can you send it to me? Right? Like, what are those steps there? If you see that she's teaching a class or she's doing, you know what I mean? Just like finding your way to building a relationship with her in particular. And that sounds really complicated, but the truth is that it's not. She needs collaborators just as much as anybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, Janine Tesori is she's like the white whale of this. Like, she's so large in sort of like legend. Of course, she has plenty of collaborators, but there's many other steps involved in the process of beginning to form a relationship with someone, right? Like going to see her work produced, getting to know the people in her circle, getting to build work that is reputable on your own that then attracts the attention of, right? There's like, again, this is what I mean when I say multiple paths, right?
For sure,
that there's like any number of ways to build a connection with someone. And that remembering that a connection goes both ways, right? So what you do and say in this world it impacts the people who you do and say it with.
Of course.
And then they go around and talk about you and the ways that you do and say things.
Yeah.
So just remembering, of course, that like, if you send a very sort of like, Janine, hello, I really, 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 really,
big fan.
That might be off-putting.
Yeah.
We don't know Janine's email style, but please, Janine, weigh in. I'm really like Janine Tesori. Hi, work with me. Big fan.
I think especially before you kind of have those relationships in your professional career where like your friends are on Broadway or whatnot.
100%.
It's like those people are held up on this pedestal in this fan way, like you are a fan and whatnot, and it can be weird and tough to recognize the fact that when you enter this industry, they are now associates.
Colleagues.
They are
100%,
exactly.
100%.
You are now in this industry together.
Yeah.
You are on the same playing field. So
yes, very much so.
If you want to work with this person, it can't be coming out of the fan lens.
Yeah,
It has to be a professional relationship.
Yeah, which I think is like so like when you're reaching out to people, which I did, like a big part of my post-grad experience with auditioning was I cold emailed all the time.
Yeah.
Like I cold emailed like it was my job, and a part of that relationship that you have with someone who you don't know whether or not they're going to open your email, you don't know whether or not you've gone to their spam folder, you don't know, is being really upfront about what you're bringing to the table. So if you want to work with Janine Tesori, saying Fun Home changed my life is not a horrible thing to say, but but better yet, saying like, I have extensive sight singing training, I know how to be in the room on a workshop, I have worked with these people at these theaters, I'm a writer myself, I am looking for a mentor, whatever it is, right? That is actually a real human connection not just like, I'm a super huge fan.
Yeah.
That, again, remembering, like, we're all real people.
Of course.
Real life humans.
Yeah. It's all about, listen, I feel like every episode, it's about the vibe check.
100%. The vibes are crucial.
Everything is a vibe check.
100%.
And you have to be smart about that.
Yeah.
You have to be self-aware. You have to be socially aware of them and how they tend to seem to interact with the world.
Absolutely.
You just got to be. We are children of the internet.
Amen.
Like if you can find every piece of dirt on your friend's new boyfriend, you have to do the same with these people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to dig.
Again, it's data collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same is true for you. Like, put your stuff online.
Of course.
Make a website.
Yep.
Get your social media profile in order.
Mm-hmm.
You know, clean your tweets. Like, really, be smart about this. This is a career. This is a profession. And I'm a huge proponent of the website. I love my website. I love building websites.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, like, what you can say about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you have absolute control over in terms of your image, your skill set, and what you want to be doing in this industry? Like, the website is a great place to do that.
Exactly.
The email, the cold call email is a great place to do that. You know, this is a great place to check, like, our values, our artistic skills, and what we want other people to know about our work.
And if you're finding along the way that you may not know what to say about yourself, or you may not know how you're valuable, that may be something that you need to work on. Is
I think
discovering
that's a
those things.
Great part of a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Identifying your artistic goals more than just, I want to be on Broadway.
For sure.
Identifying your artistic values, right? Like, what is it that you find important about collaboration or about creativity in general? What do you want to accomplish that is outside of just, like, the resume building?
Exactly.
You
It
know?
may not always be what you do best. It may just come down to, what do you do better than other people?
100%.
You know, a lot of
100%.
people focus on this thing that they're really phenomenal at, which is awesome, but there's a million other people that are phenomenal in the same ways, you know? However, you may be really good at character voices or whatnot in a way that other people are not, and that is going to be your ticket. That's going to be your golden ticket.
Yeah.
So you got to figure those things out, you know? And that's the time to do it.
100%. I think it's so crucial to start asking the questions of, like, of seeking your artistic why early on, because what tends to happen, like what I see happen, is people, like I did and like so many of my peers did right out of college, like, audition without a lens, audition without a focus, cold email without knowing the projects that you are cold emailing about,
of
right?
course.
Which is part of the data collection, and that's data collection on your own part too, right? Search your own heart and come to the truth of why you are here.
Yeah.
You know, not just, this is a dream, you know, unless that is the why, right? If the dream is, like, I want to kick my face on Broadway 8 times a week, like, honey, get your dream.
Bam.
Baby, dream your dream,
Yeah.
you know? But there's oftentimes more to it than that.
Of course.
For most people,
Yeah.
there is more to it than that. And I think it's important to know why you're here
Of
and
course.
what you're chasing and why you're chasing it.
And I think especially right out of the gate, there is always this fear of being perceived as green. You know, I feel like everyone comes out and
Everyone's
they're like,
green.
I need to know everything. I need to seem like I know what I'm talking about in the
Everyone's
most
green.
sophisticated ways. Everyone has to start out
Yo,
somewhere.
beginner mindset will change your life.
Yeah.
Beginner mindset is actually a beautiful thing.
Listen, y'all, use it.
Use it.
Use it.
Use it.
You're new.
Yeah.
You don't know everything.
Yeah.
You need to learn. You need mentors.
Also, can I be real about something?
Be so real.
I think people who know me are going to be like, Holly, stop that. But I think we learn best when we fail.
Oh my God, of course.
Like, I think we only learn when we are failing.
Yes.
I don't think success necessarily teaches us anything. I think success feels great.
For sure.
Success feels awesome.
Yeah.
But we learn from failure, and beginner mindset implies that you're about to learn some awesome stuff.
Hell yeah.
Some awesome stuff.
You can't be afraid to fail.
No, you really can't be.
It's going to be
Not to mention, we do it every single day.
so much.
Fall on our faces.
So much.
And that's like the crux, ultimately, of acting historically, is like being clowns, which means fall on your face a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, go into I play very beginner accordion. Very beginner.
Love.
it was on my resume. This is also great. This is a great...
big no.
Yeah, it's a great place to like drop this little reminder. Like, if you have a skill that you're learning and you're not great at it, don't stick it on your resume.
Unless you can do it there and then, or learn it for the next day.
Yeah. No. Don't stick it on the resume, because then you will be asked to bring the accordion to the audition.
Absolutely.
And you will be asked to play. And then you'll carry that accordion all the way home, knowing that you have absolutely just set yourself on fire.
Your accordion of shame.
Yes, joy, my accordion
your
of shame.
giant, literal, noisy reminder.
100%. So it's like everybody fails. Everybody falls on their faces. Everybody, like, makes a mistake, about how they're walking in on that day. It's normal. It's completely normal.
So, I mean, embrace it, folks.
100%.
And you got to be able to laugh about it, too.
Yeah.
It may seem devastating, but listen.
And it is.
Oh, of course. But a week later, it's going to be so funny.
It's gone. It's funny. It's hilarious. We can talk about it on a podcast,
Heck yeah.
a couple years later, and smile about it. And
of course.
Not, want to pee our pants with shame.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
Which I did. I really was, like, on a subway platform being like, I cannot believe... I took it off my resume immediately.
Oh, of course.
I took it off my resume so effing fast.
Another thing, folks, you don't need to print a million resumes.
No,
I'm sure we talked about it in the resume episode, but you're going to need to take a lot of things off you're going to learn. So take it a couple at a time. Womp womp. I mean, I think it's the imposter syndrome of it all.
100%.
It's like
beginner mindset and imposter syndrome go hand in hand too.
And we all feel it at all points of our life
100%.
and career. Like, I'm out there every day second guessing myself.
It's normal.
I think it once again is part of the process.
I agree.
Everyone's doing it.
I 100% agree.
Listen, everyone's doing it.
Everybody, so jump on in, guys.
If you're not feeling self-conscious, literally get on board.
What are you doing?
You're
gonna love it. You'll love it.
You'll never make it in this industry. Yeah.
So that's like kind of part one. I think that's like, to me, that's important about what you're doing right when you get out. Before you even hit the ground post grad. Those are the kind of things I want to see in place.
Heck yeah.
Your online presence, which is where you're controlling what you say about yourself.
Yeah.
It's where you're putting videos, your resume, etc. Identifying your goals, creating that 3, 5, 10-year plan, however, whatever increment works for you.
Yeah.
I like to revisit those on a regular basis. Also setting quarterly goals for yourself, saying like, I want to go to 12 auditions this quarter, which, it averages out to like 4 a month. Okay, great. That's doable. Those 100%. Are those doable, actionable steps. And finding classes that work for you, mentors who you respect and value. Also, in that vein, your community matters so much.
100%.
Some of my strongest mentors are not like people who I pay to teach me things, but are my friends
100%.
And people I've worked with, and colleagues, and also past college professors. When you need a good reminder of why you're in it, or you need some advice, talking to a past college professor is a hella great way to get there.
Totally.
Hella great way. So that's kind of what I see as the basic building blocks before you get out the gate.
Totally.
And then I think it turns really fast because you start to see people book their first summer stocks.
Yeah.
You start to see people book their fall seasons. You start to feel what it feels like to be in an audition grind.
Yeah.
And then I think it's about the game, which is 100%. Not burning out.
100%.
And that means, to me, thinking back almost 6 years now to my first audition season, my first summer out of college, which is targeting.
Totally.
Being incredibly specific. When you see a breakdown come out, by the way, Playbill Jobs is what I use.
Of course. Best tool out
there. If
there.
you don't use Playbill Jobs, I think there are many sites to find auditions.
Yes.
Also, Actors Access, if you are looking for film and TV gigs or voiceover gigs, which can be really fruitful.
Totally.
Extra work, voiceover work, any commercials, non-union film work, it's all there. The student films are all there. But then it's okay, getting really, really specific.
Totally.
Saying well, I'm not a tapper, so auditioning for this season with 42nd Street and Thoroughly Modern Millie is not for me.
No.
And therefore you just don't go.
No.
It's not about building the relationship with casting, right? Because you do show up and waste people's time that way.
Yes.
And also you've wasted your time. They are literally hiring for a job
Totally.
that you are not qualified for. And again, you'll walk in to the dance call, not be able to tap, fall on your face a little bit. Okay, everybody does it. But it will be essentially a waste of time when meanwhile, you could be a great Shakespeare actor
Yep.
and miss out on the Hudson Valley Shakes, company auditions. That would be a bummer.
For sure.
Because you, targeted the wrong thing.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
you were only looking at the theater of repute that you have heard about or people audition for every year. And
For
you
sure.
just want to be a part of that, prestige legacy, but they're not doing something that's right for you.
Totally.
And I think that that's a damn shame.
It's, yeah.
A damn shame.
It
Because
really is.
burnout is real.
It's, especially in this city,
In this,
y'all.
yeah,
It's hard.
And the grind when you're, particularly if you're non-union and you are showing up and hanging out in a waiting room all day or doing that awful thing of putting a name on a list that you're not sure is going to be upheld or whatever, all
Yep.
of that, turmoil, that emotional turmoil. And remembering that for all of us to be here, particularly when you're unemployed as an actor, means you have a survival job.
Totally.
So you do have to get specific. You do have to get kind of precise.
Yeah.
And use a level of precision about auditioning for, a certain number of EPAs, ECCs every week. I think it's better to do it that way. And that's part of the reason that cold emailing was a part of my strategy.
Yeah.
Which is to say, I don't think there's one way to do it. And if you think you can get somebody to open your email, and you can include your reel or a clip of you doing something that you do really well, your
sure.
resume and a headshot, if you think they'll click on it and it saves you from having to go to another EPA that week,
Bam.
I say do it.
Always.
That's probably the casting directors out there are no, don't do that. But I guarantee you that some of them actually do
Yeah.
open emails. Also, this is crazy, but again, data collection, I would see an EPA posting, go to the website of the theater that was holding the EPA,
Yep.
and email someone from their staff.
Yes.
Not whoever the casting director is in the city, but email someone from their team, their in-house team, because chances are they do have someone
For sure.
who can answer your email or can put in for you to get an appointment
Yeah.
at that call, provided that you, of course, are here's my headshot and resume, here are my skills, here's why I'm right for these shows in your season.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to get into that room.
Exactly.
Right? Many ways to get in.
And the reality, circling back, is a lot of these places, their general casting email addresses are going to be casting at insert theater name here .com .org whatever.
And you can find them on the internet.
100%. And also, we talked about this in one of our very first episodes. There's also, I think, for new folks, a really great database. It's called uptodateactor.com, and it is
okay.
just a database full of people, theaters, and their contact information.
Not me writing it down.
It is a paid service,
Okay.
but there
Gotcha.
is.
Oh.
I think there is a free trial.
But then also we should plug on that there are directories available for purchase at the Drama Bookshop with
Yes.
up-to-date casting information for the casting directors in the city and also for agents and managers. So
Yep.
if you are looking, and they include the information about whether or not they are actively accepting new submissions for their rosters. Those are really great. And I think they release those quarterly, but
Great.
someone should check me on that math. And they're available right at the front of the Drama Bookshop where all the magazines are. I've purchased several.
I've
in
never
my
purchased
time.
one of
Oh my God,
those.
highly recommend.
I think I'm going to grab one.
They are really, really great. And you do have to weed through
Yeah.
because unless you have name recognition on an agent, for example, if you're I know Abrams, great. But then there's going to be 100 other agents and managers you do not know in there.
100%.
And then again, due diligence, data collection,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Hop on Instagram, find their Instagram page,
Yes.
see who they follow.
Amen.
Not who is following them, see who they follow,
Yeah.
and see who your closest friend is to that. Make your diagrams, do your
a little Venn diagram action.
what is it? Circle your Degrees of separation.
Oh, yes.
Degrees of separation. Listen, it's going to be way closer than you think.
Way closer. This is a really small industry. It seems huge, and it is in some ways, but also it's really small.
Truly.
It's a really small, tight-knit community. And then if you're looking for an agent, ask your friends who are repped by them.
For sure.
Because chances are your friends will submit you to your agents, their agents. And that's a great way to get a foot in the door.
100%.
It's all about a foot in the door.
You need as many feet in that door as you can get.
I know, truly.
Listen.
If you have 3 or 4 feet, use them, baby.
And if you don't, get some more.
Get some more, okay?
Amazon.
Extra shoes,
One
kids.
Day shipping. Dear God.
Only with Prime.
Of course, of course.
So yeah, that's I think a great way or some great paths to targeting how you get into a room.
You gotta be sneaky. You gotta be smart.
You do. You have to be a little bit sleuthy.
Yeah.
And it's also like weeding your way through a huge amount of information. Like set aside 30 minutes every week where you're gonna sort of like go through Playbill's most recently updated job. Set yourself some time out. Put it in your calendar.
Yes.
And start to sift through that information and then make a game plan. I used to leave like 90 tabs open with like the breakdown, and then next to it would be like, here's their website, here's the director for that piece, here, you know what I mean? Just every piece of information you can get, and then find a data collection system that works for you. Is that an Excel spreadsheet? Is that a notes app? Is that a notebook? Do you like to work old school, right? Like whatever that is for you, you can collect it and hold it. And then when another 6 months go by and you recognize a name that you can go look back through your data and see whether or not you've auditioned for them before, whether or not they were working on that project you wanted to be on, et cetera, et cetera.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Get into it.
And like, folks, it's scary. It can be very scary. However, you gotta be fearless. And once again, you almost gotta be forgetful. You gotta send it out, and then push comes to shove and they don't read it, you forget all about it. It's gone.
It's no big deal.
It's gone.
It's really not the end of the world.
Yes.
Because you'll send another 10 emails.
100%.
Like, you will send another 10, and then you will not remember.
100%.
And then what do you do to double down, right?
Yeah.
You audition for a project, or you are trying to get seen for a project. What is your plan B? What is your plan C? There are different ways to do it. I mean, I don't love a slide into the Instagram DMs. That one always kind of skeeves me a little bit. But if you think you can, try your luck.
Yes. I think that's, if you have, I think, very close circles of separation with that, degrees of separation, that can be way better, because then they can look at your profile and see,
I know this person
we have 40 people in common or whatnot. It's one of those things where you've got to read the room, you got to be smart.
Yeah. But can you post your audition online? Like, can you make a tape for that thing and post it to your Instagram or to YouTube and tag it and send it to to the casting team?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, and that can be a perfectly reasonable plan C.
Totally.
If you audition, you reach out, you whatever, make an action plan.
Yeah.
For that.
Listen, folks, if there's roles that are you, like that is quintessential you, put them on tape, have them in your back pocket.
Yeah, I have a story about this, actually.
Do it.
I wanted to get seen for To Kill a Mockingbird, and I did not have a relationship with Telsey in 2019. I was 2 years out of school, and my agents didn't seem to have a great relationship with them. I kept emailing my agents being like, hey, I want to get seen for this. I really want to get seen for this. Please, can you help me get seen for this?
Yes.
And we kept getting denied on it. So eventually it got to this point where I was on Playbill, and I found an EPA for the To Kill a Mockingbird Broadway replacements, first Broadway replacements. And I was like, okay, well, there you go. There is my potential foot in the door, right? So you show up you're like, I can't get my agents to get me an appointment for this thing. Okay, great. I'm going to take measures into my own hands. I go to the EPA. I do the audition. I think it goes marvelously. I don't hear back for a week. And then me and literally Danny, that's right, shout out Danny, are in our living room at our old apartment. And I was like, Danny, I really think I nailed that audition. And I wrote down who was in the room, who was at the time a casting assistant at Telsey.
Yep.
And I was like, Danny, I want to tape the audition sides and send them to the casting assistant. And Danny was like, great, only if you'll do the same for me, because he had also gone in for the dill track. So we like double taped for each other, and I sent it to the casting assistant being like, hey, I was in the EPA last week. I remember you were there. Thanks for such a lovely, warm room. You really made that experience, pleasant, which is a huge deal. And I put myself on tape for the sides again. I just really wanted to, like, take the feedback or give it another pass. And I had an appointment for To Kill a Mockingbird by the end of the day.
Amazing.
And then I was in finals for... I did not book it. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
It happens. Listen, I was in finals for To Kill a Mockingbird by the end of the following week.
Amazing.
So it's like, it is that thing of being like, okay, plan A didn't work.
Yeah.
Plan B, going to the EPA, technically didn't work. But plan B did give me the foot in the door to make plan C really work.
There you
to
go.
really land it. And now I personally have a relationship to someone who works at Telsey that I have, like, given him comp tickets when I'm on in certain shows. You know what I mean? It's like there are other ways to, like, further that relationship now. Now I have a rapport with someone.
For sure.
Now I'm actually in the... So anyways, that's my, like, plan ABC story. And I think about that one a lot because it gave me a lot of hope right after it happened.
Yeah.
That there isn't one way.
100%.
There isn't just one way to get where you're trying to go. When you think you're right for a show, when you know that you are right for a show, there are many options.
Yeah.
And then Bart Scher put me in Camelot. You know what I mean? Like, I was in finals with him, and then down the line, 3 years later, there's a job.
100%.
And we work together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it just starts to layer all together. And it is like your first year out, you're putting down a foundation.
Totally.
You're just putting down a foundation.
Yeah.
And seeing what sticks. Can we talk about what happens when you're standing outside the audition room?
Hell yeah.
And then what happens when you're inside the audition
the most
room?
Anxious time ever.
Yeah, I think when you're outside the room, I think that the best thing you can do for yourself is focus on your breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Or find a grounding technique that really works for you.
You got it.
For example, if you use Headspace, I really like the noting technique that they use for how you fall asleep.
What is that?
It's where you label your thoughts as thoughts and your feelings as feelings while counting your breaths to 10. Yes. So you can be like, I'm really worried about this audition. And be like, that's a feeling.
Yes.
Inhale 1, exhale 2, inhale 3. I feel like I'm gonna poop my pants. That's a feeling.
Yeah.
Inhale 5, exhale 6. I think that's like just a really good, like, let's just identify the things that are real, identify our thoughts. I wonder what my friends are having, I wonder what my friends are up to right now. I think maybe I should call my parents after this. And just sort of like clearing those things out of your system.
Totally.
I really like that one. But breathing techniques or whatever it is, to just keep you grounded and focused on the work that you are about to do before the door opens.
Truly.
To the quote unquote room.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you step into the room, I think it's mindset.
Oh, totally.
I think it is 100% mindset. Meaning, just like tennis players, there is an inner game that's happening, and you cannot, under any circumstances, treat a failure as an all-around failure.
Totally.
There's a point, you miss it. Fine, you missed a point. No big deal.
Whatever.
There's a shot, you go for it. You don't make it, you're like going for the high note, you crack a little bit. Who doesn't crack? Who doesn't warble, right?
Yeah.
You miss it, fine, no problem. But then there's like celebrating the ones that you do make. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to remember that it is a mindset game when you walk in the room. And you cannot let yourself be overtaken by nerves.
No.
It is the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
Because you, in essence, perceived so much judgment on the part of the rest of the room.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, folks, this is live theater. I told Brennan when we started this episode that I had to keep my ringer on because as the dance captain at Sufts, I often receive text messages from my stage manager about who might be going on tonight if we have a cast change up. And sure enough, ping! And now I'm just going to handle this for 1 second.
Please do.
I'm just going to put a little heart react. I'm going to say, all good. Thanks for letting me know. What did I tell you?
That. You
I
told me
literally
exactly
sat down
that.
and was like, okay, I have to leave my ringer on because we are like within the 2.5 hour mark of the
Damn.
half hour. And this is what it feels like to work on what is now a quote unquote long running show, right? We're in like
Hell
the
yeah.
thick of our run. So now I field these kind of text messages on Tuesdays.
Heck yeah.
Okay. That's good. We're going to put that down now.
Amazing.
Mindset, folks. It's
Yeah.
all mindset.
Yeah, folks, the nerves are going to happen, especially in the beginning. Learn those nerves.
Yeah, figure out what makes you tick. Figure out
Yeah.
what makes you feel anxious.
Learn what your body's doing. See how it affects your breathing.
Yeah.
Because that is obviously, especially when you are singing, so important.
So crucial.
So we got to figure out the ways to combat it. You got to go to a voice teacher that
Yeah.
really knows the biology
Yes.
of singing.
Yes.
The science of it all is so crazy. Shout out to my voice teacher. I'm going to not name him because it's so hard to get an appointment with him. To begin
LOL,
with.
LOL. Wait, do we have the same one? We might. We'll
I
talk
don't know.
about this later.
He'll probably be on the podcast anyways at some point.
Epic.
But yeah, find someone that knows the anatomy and biology of
We
it.
totally have the same teacher.
We might. I don't know. But because first of all, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy to learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's gross to learn that kind of stuff when you're a squeamish little boy like me. But it is so helpful when
Yeah.
you are then navigating, what ways do I need to combat this physically and scientifically
Yeah, it's
as
like
well?
a literal fight. Like adrenaline is a fight or flight response.
Yeah.
So realizing that your body thinks it's in danger,
Mm-hmm.
even though you are singing, I almost said just popular from Wicked, which is
Great.
You know, hey, sing what you want to sing.
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Don't
Which is
sing
the
that in an
other thing.
audition.
Don't sing that in an audition. But also, I'm gonna say like, sing what you love. Work on material you love in the
Yeah.
room because I think that joy is also a really great grounding force.
Totally.
And you can see joy on people, and it makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Like, and if that joy for you is like Iago in Othello, then do Iago. Like, if there's something that's tasty and juicy to you as an actor, and it fires your joy in a really present way, I say go for it.
They want to know you.
They want to know you. Also, I think people get hired now not just because they're good, but because they're fun.
There you go.
I know that sounds crazy, but I also believe, and I'm saying this everywhere these days, that being present is a prerequisite for fun.
Totally.
Which means you cannot have fun if you are not present.
Exactly.
And therefore, if you're working on material that is fun for you, you are going to be present with it.
Yeah.
And that is a better experience for you. It's a better experience for the people across the table from you.
Totally.
It makes the entire event of auditioning bearable.
Yeah.
Actually bearable. So I think like choosing material that fires you up, because there's going to be things that people think you should sing.
Totally.
There's going to be monologues that people think you should do. And by people, I mean you. Like there's going to
Yeah.
be things that you think you need to sing because it shows you off.
Yeah.
And I want to veto that gut impulse and say go with something that fuels your humanity and your sense of joy
Yes.
more than the thing that like hits the highest note. Also take the opt up. Like you can always like make a
Yeah.
thing do a thing.
Also, don't sing that high at 10 in the morning.
Yeah,
Just
seriously.
why?
Don't do that. You're not
Why?
warm enough, and no one's warm.
Leave them wanting more.
Amen.
Leave
Leave it
'em-
for the callback. Save it
Exactly.
for the callback.
Bam. Yeah, folks, you gotta learn yourself. You have to learn yourself.
Yeah.
It is so important.
Values.
And it is something that is going to just aid you. You
Yeah.
know, you want to be comfortable. You want to be walking into a living room.
Yes.
You know, you don't want to be walking into a surgical center, you
No,
know.
no, God,
You
no.
want to be walking into a living room where you just feel comfy. You're singing for future friends,
Yeah.
and that is what you want to show them.
And long-time collaborators, right?
For
like
sure.
they're the casting teams especially. You want them to know you,
Mm-hmm.
which means coming in and singing stuff, performing monologues that feel good to you and say something about you more than just I can cry,
Yeah.
I can sing an F, I can whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like you want things that feel human, because
Exactly.
they also are real human beings. And I just like want to reiterate, like, removing the idea that they are judging you in any way. Like, they
Yeah.
want you to be the answer to their problems.
Always.
You want to be the solution, and they want you to be the solution.
Exactly.
It's just that simple. Like, you will make their lives so much easier if you are the right person, and they really are not judging.
No.
They are not sitting in judgment.
No.
Like, actually never. And if they are, honestly, so what?
That's on them.
That's on them.
That's their problem.
That's their problem. That's their problem. But
Yeah.
they're not. But they're not.
I bet you they live a very boring, unsatisfying
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. So,
And you know who doesn't? Us.
Us.
We're so fun
Mhm.
and fun to be with.
30, flirty, thriving. No one's
Oh my
30
god.
here.
No, thank God.
No, thank God. Thank God.
I'm kind of feeling ready for the 30s.
Me too. I'm not
It's
going to
weird-
lie.
It's weird.
The closer you get, the more you're like, God, 30 sounds good.
We were talking about last week that, like, there is always, when you're young, such a clear vision of, like, what the 20s are and what
Oh,
the
yeah.
40s are.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, your 20s is, like, your older siblings. It's the people,
It's-
you know.
and it's fun, it's
familiar.
fun, it's
yeah,
like-
it's fun. You're young. You're not an adult yet. And then the 40s are your parents.
Yeah.
You know, and everything in between. What the hell is it?
What the hell
Who
is that?
knows? Who knows?
What the hell is that?
It's theoretically the period from going from the fun young person to
To
your
the old person.
to your parent.
Which, by the way, 40 is also not old. Just
Not
like
at
we're
all.
not gonna publicly come out here and
Yeah.
say today that 40 is old.
No.
It's really not.
No.
Mostly because we're rapidly approaching 40. So 40 is young. 40 is young and hot.
Oh my
okay?
god, it is so attractive.
Can I say one more thing about
You can say whatever you want.
inside the audition room?
Yeah.
I do think that it is important to come in like it's a job interview.
Of course.
And I don't mean slacks and a jacket.
Oh, no.
I just mean, like, I have been an audition reader before, and there is a noticeable difference between the people who come in calm, cool, and collected, also in appearance, and the people who don't. You know what I mean? There is, like, just some sort of vibe that says, like, I'm here to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to go. I am not, like... And, of course, this is New York, so the trains are late.
Of course.
It's hot as balls. You're sweaty. You're 10 minutes behind, you know. But just, like, if you can take a beat to collect yourself, or when the casting assistant comes out of the room and says, like, do you need a minute? Take the minute.
Yeah.
It is your time, too. So it is your time to make sure that it goes the way... Everything that is inside your control, I think you should exercise control over.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, like, coming in to the room in a way that says, I am a professional.
Yes.
You know? Even if you feel green.
Totally.
Because we all know what it is to, like, come to a thing as our highest selves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goal, always. Is it always the reality? Of course not. Are we coming,
Yes.
you know, delayed? Are we coming in a bad mood? Are we coming with all of the context of all that came before it? What is the Kamala quote?
Oh
It doesn't
my
matter.
God.
Sorry.
Are we coming from the coconut
Tree? Are we coming, you know? But however you're coming to the room today, right? Like, those things matter.
Yeah.
But also, as much as you can, just saying, like, no, I'm actually going to take a second. I need to drink some water.
Yeah.
I need to put my bag down. I just want to, like, smooth my hair out, get my stuff, make sure I'm not all kerfuffled,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being able to have your materials in an order that suits you and that is easily presentable to the accompanist or whomever. That all feels really important.
The world is full of unknowns. Life is full of unknowns. So
Amen.
put as many tools in your tool belt as you can.
Yeah.
And then just take it as it comes.
That's exactly
You
right.
know, be present. Just see what happens. Use those tools as you go along.
Yeah.
And just be comfortable. Be
Yeah.
comfortable doing what you got to do.
Yeah. You got to, like, live in your own skin
You got to...
and own it.
You love this.
Yeah.
You are doing it for a reason, so
Yes.
make sure you don't forget
Yes,
that.
we love this. Even when it's hard.
Yeah.
Even when you play your accordion so bad.
Yeah.
You've done it, you're here, and you've done it because you love it.
For sure.
That matters. That no one can take that away from you.
No.
And that matters a lot.
There's a reason we are in this career.
Truly.
You know, there's a reason why we're not doing our 9-to-5 desk jobs.
Yeah.
And it's because we want to love what we do and be happy. So
Yeah.
make sure
be
that is
fulfilled, yeah.
actively happening. Because,
Yeah.
like, once again, even if you're not booked and blessed, going to an audition is part of the job. So make sure
100%.
you are enjoying it in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form. You know?
Yeah.
It's got to be what it's got to be.
I 100% agree.
It's just going to set you up for success.
It is. It's
and happiness.
And it's again, I think it's just like a part of your values.
Yeah.
It's again like showing up as the way you want to show up and saying about yourself what matters to you. You know what I mean? As much as what is in your control. Showing up prepared. I mean, truly prepared. Like coming in with those materials solid and feeling really good about them and having rehearsed them as much as you, I mean, without killing yourself, because like we've all been there where we've like over rehearsed a side to death.
Totally.
And then you've like missed 7 other things that were important in that week of your life, you know. That's a little overkill. But, you know, there's like a degree
happens.
to which you want to come in prepared for what you're about to do and flexible, ready to receive feedback, ready to accept that feedback joyously, you know, trying to stay away from that thing that rises up in you that says that they didn't like your work. No, actually the feedback is coming because they do like your work and they're trying to see what else you can do. They're helping to steer the narrative in the room so that the director can see how you work, so that you can find a new angle on the piece. Like being super, super flexible matters. They're
called plays, so play. Just play.
Amen.
Have fun.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's so real. So yeah, that's the inside the room.
I love that.
And then outside the room after, there's a wind down. For me, that's calling my mom.
Of course.
Or a friend if my mom's unavailable. First thing I do is call. Also, I know a lot of people now who like voice memo their auditions so that they can play it back and see what went well for them.
Interesting. Be careful,
Be
folks.
careful.
That
be
is
super careful.
Very against the rules.
100%.
Back pocket.
Back pocket. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's there's no recording allowed in an equity audition room.
I take it back. I take it
Listen,
back.
if you're once again, be sleuthy.
I mean, it's for personal development, right? I have friends who do it because they're like, I want to know how that high note sounds in the room, or I want to be able to hear where I'm trailing my thoughts together on that monologue. It's not about like posting. Okay, it's about again data collection. It's about like personal data collection. But then on that front, the other thing that I like to do immediately when I leave an audition room, or something that I used to do a lot when I leave an audition room, is record the names of the people who are in the room, write them down, write down how long you were in the room, what time you were seen, what material you did, whether or not they asked you to repeat anything or do anything additional. You know, any piece of information that you can get down from that experience, how you felt about it, you know, recording like your rose and your thorn or your high and your low, things that can sort of just like close the chapter on that audition, because it's really hard when we take it with us through the week.
For sure.
When we start to, and I have this is one of my tells. When I know that I really want something, when I'm really invested in booking a job, because I'm like, I am right for that thing.
Yeah.
When I'm in that place, I tend to fixate. I know this about myself.
Yes, 100%.
I try to minimize it as much as possible.
Yes.
However, I am the guy who refreshes the email.
Do not sit on callback corner.
Don't sit on.
I
am the guy on callback corner. Okay, those things are like bad. Those are also like bad habits that I built when I was young. So like, let me recommend to you that you like find a way to close your own chapter on that thing and put it aside until such time as you receive a callback email, right? Until such time as you get news that the casting process is over, right? And then you can like actually close it out for yourself one way or another. May I highly recommend you do not build bad habits. No. Those are some bad habits. I don't like those habits. They don't help me feel good after I leave a room.
Totally. Once again, you have to be self-aware, folks. You have to know yourself to a T.
Yeah, those are some really bad habits I have. So let me recommend a wind down. Let me recommend like getting it out of your system some way or another. I know a lot of people like to do the post-audition treat.
Go get a little treat.
A little treat.
Go get a little treat.
A little coffee, a little cookie, you know, something that says like, I did that. I'm proud of my work, and now I'm going to put it down. That's really important. And then there's also this thing that happens where, like, after you, again, this is the Mockingbird story, where, like, after you audition and some time has passed and you're like, damn, I really wonder what happened there, and can I revive my shot at that job? I think you have to be really smart about that. I think you have to really, really feel like you are 100% correct for the thing.
For sure.
You cannot do this tactic unless... Because this is like a do not pass go tactic sort of thing, which is to say it's just a little bit ballsy, and it does like reopen the wound a little bit. Like,
for sure.
Every audition takes something out of you, and so when you are coming back to it, when you say like, okay, yeah, I know that I didn't hear back from that EPA, but I really, really think that I've got a shot.
Totally.
You know, being mindful that that's not every audition. That's 1 in 100 auditions. That's 1 in 1,000 auditions.
For sure.
You know, we're not doing that for every project. But yeah, figuring out what's your plan B? What's your plan C?
Yeah.
Is there another path towards that job? And then also being like really specific about why you want that job in the first place, you know?
Totally.
Because I gotta say, this is one of my pet peeves, is like working in the future past, which is where you are auditioning for a thing so that someday you can say you've done it.
Heard.
That I disagree with vehemently. I think, like, you know, you if you really, really love Grease, but the only reason that you audition for Grease is because you think you're really so right for it that it already should be on your resume. So you're auditioning not because you want to do the show or are interested in any of the characters in Grease, that you're just really auditioning because you're like, wow, that would look really good.
Yeah.
No. It's inauthentic, and quite frankly, people don't tend to book when that's there.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. I'm super opposed to that. So if that's the only reason that you are thinking about doubling down and on an audition and reopening the case file, essentially, be cautious. That's not a good enough reason. You know, is it about working with someone there? Is it about telling a specific story? Is it about stretching your limits as an actor? Have you never done a Shakespeare before, thought that went really well, and want to try again?
Yeah.
Sure. Also, like, they do Shakespeare everywhere. I don't know. It gets hairy. So like, you know, using some of our best judgment
Totally.
when we reopen the case file.
Especially, listen, casting folks, once again, their job is the vibe check. They can smell inauthenticity.
Yeah, totally.
Is that a whole word?
Yeah, absolutely.
Inauthenticity. Let me tell you, they got a nose for it.
They do.
So, yeah, if you're not being yourself out there, they're gonna smell it, and it's not gonna happen.
It's why identifying your artistic why is so important, because the bullshit out here in these streets can be stinky sometimes.
Listen, these streets smell terrible.
Yo, these streets smell
in
terrible.
so many different ways.
Terrible, particularly in the summer. But yeah, I just think like you gotta be honest about why you're trying. Why is it that job that you're going for again?
Yeah.
And then I do like to ask my agents for feedback.
I mean, listen,
if
folks,
I don't book it,
ask for feedback.
I'm like,
how are you going to get better if
yeah.
you don't have the feedback?
And the feedback is usually, oh, the team just went in a different direction,
Yeah.
or there was nothing that your client could do. They were great.
Mhm.
It was just like a matter of preference. But, you know, every so often you will get a piece of feedback that might actually assist you
For sure.
moving forward, you know. Most times it's not, though, and that's
Yeah.
something important to
They're
remember
like,
too.
get taller.
They're
I
like,
don't know.
exactly. They're like, get taller. They're like, be blonde, and you're
Yeah.
like, give me an hour and a bottle of bleach, and I'll
Yeah.
see you later. No, but it's a good reminder that it's not. There's so much that's not in our control,
Mhm.
which is why what we're prepping for walking in is the controllable elements. What we're prepping for as we walk into the audition room, as we move towards our 10-year goals, our 10-year plans, is the stuff that we can
Yeah.
actually be in control over, because most times you don't book the gig and it
No.
has nothing to do with you. You book like one gig out of every 400,
Totally.
and you have absolutely no idea why.
And it's going to be when you least expect it, too.
100%. 100%.
What is meant for you will not pass you by, and you have to believe in that so wholeheartedly.
You really
because
do.
that is going to be what helps you forget.
Saving
when you
grace.
leave the building, it's going to help you forget that you just did, even if you did really well, it's going to help ease that out of your mind so you can just move on,
Yeah, I think it's really crucial to, what is meant for you is for you.
Yeah.
What is meant for you is for you, And then it's luck.
100%.
And it's timing.
Yeah.
It's all those things that you really, really have no control over.
So don't try. Don't try and control it.
Yeah. The rest of it though,
Yes.
the rest of it is controllable.
Be smart.
To some degree.
Yeah.
To some degree. So yeah, that's that. And then I think
Oh, yeah.
one more. The rooms that aren't the room.
Oh.
Which is to say, like, make your own work.
Yeah.
Get a community of people together who want to put on plays.
Mm-hmm.
Do what Brennan has done and start a podcast.
Yeah.
Get...
Don't copy me.
Don't
take this idea.
Definitely don't do that,
but
okay?
Start a podcast.
Also, maybe start a podcast.
What do you have to lose? That's a big thing. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, and then if you, I think Jen Waldman has done this too, which is to say, when you say, okay, what really is at stake, and you name those things, and you realize that they're not all that big, okay, Brennan, I'm sorry to invoke this, but...
Please do.
What's at stake if I make a podcast? That no one will listen? Okay, great,
no.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
I will have gained the experience of making a podcast, of learning the format, of figuring out what I want to talk about, of seeing where my passions lie, what information do I want to put out in the world? Do I want to write a podcast that's actually like a long-form play?
Yeah.
What are the other... Right. Obviously, Brennan has listeners.
I mean,
so that, but potentially that was something that was
that was definitely
at
on the
stake
forefront.
when you started this podcast.
But push comes to shove, if it didn't take off and the way it has, what a great time capsule of my journey.
Absolutely.
What a great...
Not wasted.
Exactly. One day I'll get to look back and be like, oh wow,
yeah,
that's how I used to be.
And it teaches you so much about yourself, right? That you can actually manage a project from start to finish. And because your project is ongoing, it involves a certain level of upkeep and responsibility.
Of course.
And so then you're cultivating all of these other skills that are kind of unnameable. Yes, if you can kick your face, that's great.
Amazing.
But there are amazing other skills that matter so much. Yeah. How you walk into a room, how you exist on a team, how you problem solve, your generosity of spirit, your ability to come to work and shed the skin of the horrible shitty day that came before you, right? All of those things are the indelible, ineffable things that make up what we do, and they're not I have 12 years of tap experience or I can sing opera, right? They're these really critical, valuable skills.
Yes.
And they lend themselves so well to actors. Being a problem solver is a great thing for an actor. Being a good teammate is an invaluable skill for an actor. So when you get to put those skills to work in other areas of your life, in other rooms that aren't the quote-unquote room.
Yes. That
is what makes you a good human, and then it goes hand in hand with what makes you a good performer or a good creative in this industry. And I think we don't place enough value on those skills.
Of course. It's crazy when entering adulthood how uncommon common sense is.
Oh. Yes.
It's a learned skill.
It is.
It's a learned skill.
And it's a practicable skill.
Yes.
Something that you can actually do every day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Practice it, please.
Please.
Please,
dear God.
please. Oh.
Someone, please. Yeah, just think there's so many other ways to further the connections that you're seeking for your 10-year plan, to build the spaces that you are looking to be in for your 10-year plan. There are people working alongside you in your survival jobs who are also working towards similar but maybe different goals. And together you guys are, oh my God, nope, spam risk. See, we think it's the show, and then it's spam risk. I just think there's so many more ways to do what we do than just auditioning or being focused on getting an agent. So those actionable steps that we talk about for that 10-year plan can be, I want to start a play reading group.
There you go.
I want to have a Dungeons and Dragons game where we practice our character voices. Do you know what I mean? It's like literally anything you can think of.
Do you play D&D?
I have. I don't currently. I'm looking for a game, though, if anybody's...
I'm also looking for...
Oh,
maybe
we should... Oh, okay.
We're going to table that.
You heard it here first, folks.
Bam.
Get ready.
Oh, my God.
Get ready. We should, just loop in a bunch of actors. And have a little D&D game and do a lot of voices. Could be fun. But you know what I mean? It's like 100%. It's that sort of thing. It's like... And there are so many... And I really believe, and it took me a long time to believe this, because I did feel like a little musical theater robot when I graduated college. I did feel like someone who had been trained to, and who had submitted themselves willingly to the training.
Of course.
Who had been trained to do this one thing and do it incredibly well, but then also I didn't have great friendships, and I didn't have other hobbies, and I didn't have this sort of well-rounded life that makes you an incredible asset to your work. Being a well-rounded human makes you a well-rounded performer.
Yeah.
So, it's like, and I only know that because I failed so spectacularly at being a well-rounded human for a while. I did not play as hard as I worked.
Yeah.
And it's not that I regret that, but I wouldn't have known that was important to me until I absolutely failed at it.
Yeah.
Early on. Like, really early on.
There you go.
Yeah. That's what I got.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Be a person.
Be a person.
Please. Just be a person.
Be a person. Whatever you love. Like,
love it.
That's outside of theater. Because this industry, so many people say this. People say it's like a cracked vessel. You pour into it and it's never going to hold you. People say that it's never going to love you back. And in some ways, sure, okay, fine. Those things might be true. But also, there's community here. There are people here who are worth pouring yourself into because they will hold you. The industry itself might be a little more tenuous. It might be a little less likely to catch you. But then outside of that, like what you love, if you want to join a soccer league, join a soccer league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's any number of places and people and communities and your own interests, that'll catch you.
This is just like any other job, folks. Like, you clock in and then you clock out, and then you have a life outside of it.
And you do have to remember to clock out.
Yeah, like, you have a life outside, so it doesn't have to be theater.
Yeah.
It's awesome to get to do what you enjoy, and then you have other things that you enjoy.
Yeah. It's really important. And important to have friends outside of theater, too. If you can have a community that's not just theatrical.
Yeah.
And if your community is exclusively theatrical, try doing some non-theatrical stuff.
Yeah.
Try building some habits
could be
and
funny.
hobbies that could be hilarious. Could be really funny. Theater workers play soccer. Let's go. I mean, that's Broadway baseball, so in all fairness.
Should we play soccer with our friends?
You guys. Oh my God, we're starting so many new activities together.
God.
D&D, a little bit of soccer. I love some soccer.
Let's do it.
I love some soccer.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
There you go, folks.
That's what's up.
I think we nailed this.
I think we did too.
Yeah.
That was like a lot of. Also, I talk really fast, so I'm just gonna apologize.
Listen
features.
to
this in 0.75.
There's features to slow it down. I cannot listen on faster. I cannot listen on slower.
No,
and
it has to be just right. The Goldilocks speed.
There's always the time where I accidentally touch it in my pocket, and I'm just listening. I'm like, what is happening?
Something's off.
Yeah.
Something's going on here. I don't like this.
Literally. I'm like,
what's the dealio?
No.
Yeah.
There you go, folks.
But that's what I got.
Yeah.
And also, reach out. Last thing. Reach out to people. Like,
always.
Reach out to, you can reach out to me and ask me questions. I really believe that we've suffered from a little bit of gatekeeping in this industry.
Yes.
And that's why podcasts like Brennan's are so important, is because there is generational wealth that can be shared.
Yeah.
And you're not doing something alone. You in many ways will forge your own path, but there are people who have walked similar paths before you, or can point you in the direction of people who have walked more similar paths to yours. And I think we just have to be open to asking for help or advice and seeking answers, you know.
That's
I've always
exactly right.
enjoyed being a sounding board for people or a resource. So, you know, if you need a resource, come find me.
There you go, folks.
Come find me.
Wow. Bam.
Bam.
Listen.
Done.
Folks, we are rooting for you.
Yes.
We are your biggest supporters.
100%.
And you can be our biggest supporters by finding us on Patreon. That is patreon.com/BA2Broadway. Of course, as always, we are not gatekeeping any information on there. We are being silly on there. These are silly, fun, extra stories if you want some more tidbits into our lives. You know, we have audition horror stories. We have just so many people defecating their pants during shows.
Accurate.
That is one of the most popular topics so far in the bonus content. It
Iconic.
is crazy.
Iconic.
And also, you get the chance to tell us what to talk about during our In the Spotlight episodes. So get on there, check it out. We'd love to see you there, get even more involved in this community. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA2Broadway. Holly, where can folks find you if you want to be found?
I'm on Instagram, mostly, and sometimes on Twitter, and you can find me at Hawley Gould, HAWLEYGOULD.
Bam. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This was absolutely delightful.
My first podcast episode. I'm honored.
Hell yeah.
Honored.
And listen, you'll be back.
Whee! That's right.
And
Stay tuned.
until next time, folks, bye.